Oh, but you can share it after the fact.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Especially in this weather, it'll cause a little less like,
Lag.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm recording, so and it looks like folks are starting to trickle in. So welcome, folks. I'm Amy Loudermilk. I'm the program manager for Arts Build. So thank you for joining us today for our shared services workshop with Colleen Miller, who's going to talk to us about websites. We're having some bad weather right now, so we've got a couple of backup plans in order if for some reason I lose power, Colleen loses power. I've got my phone queued up. But just bear with us. Just so you know, we are recording this. So if for some reason you lose power and you want to catch this later, you can get it on Arts Build's YouTube page. But we're going to do our best today and get through this material. And, you know, there's always a plan B. But again, thanks for joining us. The mission of Arts Build, obviously, is to build community through the arts. And so we're glad that you're here today as our community. And so with that, I'm going to hand things over to Miss Colleen because I know she's got a lot to cover.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my March 2021 webinar. If you didn't have a chance to attend my webinar last month, you can check it out on Arts Build YouTube page. I'm going to put the link to it right here in the chat. We discussed Facebook and Instagram and how to use both. And I really encourage you all to check it out. And if we have not met yet, my name is Colleen Miller. I have many years of experience serving in digital and public communication roles for offices of elected officials of elected office, Chattanooga's Public Works Department, most recently, many nonprofit organizations involved in democracy and coalition building, as well as for some private businesses. So I'm really happy to be here with you all today and every month this year to facilitate these webinars where we're going to discuss topics relating to your organization or your business's digital presence, including social media, email marketing. Today it's website design and other topics based on your feedback and interests. So let's get started. So today we're going to talk about creating a website that works for you, and no single aspect of marketing is more important than a quality website. Many of your customers may find your website through a social media page and not necessarily start at your website. It's still really important to have one because a website establishes credibility for your business or organization. Your website is your organization's front door that provides your customers information on what your business is all about, and it helps showcase what you offer. So this is a pretty huge subject to tackle. There's thousands of books, courses, guides, and articles written on web design. And for many small business owners and organizations, building or updating a website is necessary, but where do you start? It can be a daunting process. So today we'll talk about creating a website that works for you and your organization. So ultimately, your website should have a clear purpose, be visually appealing, be easy to navigate, be up to date, be technically stable and secure. And it should also answer the following questions. Who are you? What's your organization? What do you do? What makes you different? Where do I, the customer, the visitor of your website, go from here? What do I do next? Can I trust you? Can I trust your organization? And how do I contact you? These are pretty basic tenets to answer. And honestly, you know, at the start of this, website design can be really daunting, but if you make it simple and you answer these questions and, you know, the rest of what's in the webinar today, you're going to have a website that works for you and that's easy to maintain long term. And that's really, really what you need. So when we talk about a website having a clear purpose, great design always starts with a purpose in mind, right? Like if you're building a table, what's that table for? Are you trying to sit at it and eat dinner? Are you trying to put coffee on it in front of a couch. Like there's always a purpose in mind when you start to design something. Same goes for our website. Your site reflects your company, your products, your services, and ultimately your brand. So if the purpose of your website is to answer the questions, who are you, what do you do, and where do I, the visitor or the customer, go from here? Like, what do I do next? Then be sure your website answers those questions. Include your logo, the name of your organization, an about us statement, the staff of your organization if you want to, where you're located, how to all the things to learn about you and your organization. If you're answering what do you do and what makes you different, do you offer services and products? Be sure to keep it simple. Avoid using jargon that only you and your staff members really understand. Include this information on your homepage. If you need to elaborate, continue on interior subpages with more specific information targeted to various services and products. So, after your website visitors get answers to some of these questions, they want to know what action to take. What do I do now? You want me to just read and do what? So tell them what you want them to do. Maybe it's buy a product, hire your company, learn more about you, get a quote from you, contact you, sign up for an event, make a donation. Some, like ArtsBuild has make a donation on theirs, on their website. Read and share articles, follow the company and engage with them on social media, download toolkits, join your mailing list. Sometimes, I think even ArtsBuild has one on their website as well for like a little MailChimp link or space to type in your email address to sign up for their email newsletters. Whatever it is, make it clear. And you can put your ask on. Am I unmuted now? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, you're unmuted. I don't know what happened.
Okay. I was like, I got muted. I said something wrong. No. Yeah. So whatever it is, make it clear. If you navigate through ArtsBuild's website, there's one page. If it's like about contacting us, they have the MailChimp or Constant Contact, little space bar to put your email in. On another page, they talk about all of their services and a place for you to donate. Tell your audience exactly what you want them to do, or else they're just going to leave, and that's not helpful. So your website is a map for visitors to learn about your company, your products, your services, and you want to use that map to guide visitors based on the outcomes you and the organization want to achieve. If you already have a website, here's a little tidbit. If you already have a website and you're working on cleaning it up, ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish with this page or this piece of information or this photo or something? If it doesn't have a clear purpose, consider getting rid of it. White space is not a bad thing. And we'll talk about that next in the be visually appealing. So it's important for your website to be visually appealing, polished, professional. Allow white space with uncluttered layouts. If you were to go on a page, you're shopping for whatever you're shopping for, a kiddie pool, I'm looking at this graphic that's on your screen, a car, something, a lawnmower. If you get on a web page and you see something like this, you have to be overwhelmed and you have no idea what's going on. This is not visually appealing. It's not helpful. So allow white space with uncluttered layouts. It's okay to have empty spaces. It makes it much more easy to tell your customers and your visitors exactly what you want them to know. Don't try to fill every gap. Also, use high quality photographs and graphics. High quality images tell your visitors you care, and it creates a sense of trust with your organizations. Bad images, there's plenty of articles that tell you it actually reduces readership and makes people leave. There's some good images that you can use, charts and graphs of data, screenshots, high quality stock photography, but choose wisely because, again, if it doesn't have a purpose or match, the text that's with it, get rid of it. It's unnecessary. custom designs and vector graphics, things from, from your social media if it's appropriate. And then professional and well done photography always has a place, again, if it has a purpose. Any image you use that doesn't have a purpose is a bad image. Again, you don't need it. If it doesn't serve a purpose, get rid of it. Equally important is to proofread. Proofread rigorously. There's nothing worse than if I were here presenting to you all and embarrassingly I have some massive spelling errors on my screen. I don't actually have spelling errors. Hopefully, if I do, please let me know. But it's quite strange, and it reduces trust on so many levels when it shows that you don't take the time to care about proofreading. So it's so important to just spend time and have other people. I know sometimes I don't see it. Have other people review the website or something before it goes live to just check for that. It's so important. The other thing is to make sure everything is on brand. I think if you have attended my webinars or you've listened to the ones on YouTube, I repeat this every single time. Your brand is your image. Everything from the colors you use to the fonts that you choose affects people's perception of who you are and if you've got it together. You'll notice this is my brand for this webinar up here in the top of your screen. You'll always see the same colors. You'll never see different greens. There's always the same blues, always the same fonts, etc., etc. I really like this guide to branding. If you're interested, let me just copy and paste this really quick into the chat. This is a nice little guide to branding if you're starting out, or it's a good read if you are interested in refreshing your brand or figuring out if it's doing what you want it to do. So I encourage you to copy and paste that and check that out. It's very helpful. It's helpful, even to me every time I take on a new client and I want to make sure that their brand is correct across all fronts. Really interestingly about brand, you can convey different feelings about you and your organization through your design choices. So check out this article. I'm going to drop it in the chat about the psychology of color. I've learned a lot, especially taking on clients that are like restaurants or food trucks, and learn how different colors convey different emotions. That's a really interesting read about the psychology of color. There's also a psychology behind font choice as well. And although you should always, always, always choose readability over emotional feel for your main body of font because you want people to be able to read what you're doing, that typically means sans serif fonts, and they read best on the web. But I've dropped another interesting read about the psychology of fonts as well in the chat. I know I'm putting a lot of links there in the chat today, but they're fascinating, and if you need a break from work, these don't take long to read, and they're quite interesting. So we've talked about be visually appealing. So be easy to navigate. All websites should be easy to navigate. I put ArtsBuild's website, a screen here from the bottom of one of the pages, and it's simple, and that's the way that a website should be if it's if you're trying to convey certain points. So site visitors are always in a hurry. Don't make them work for information. Obviously, ArtsBuild's website has the About Us. It has all of the things that their work, like the shared services has a page. They make it very easy for visitors to find out exactly what they do, who they are, etc. So create obvious, logical navigation with a clear hierarchy. Navigation is the wayfinding system used on websites where visitors interact and find what they're looking for. Website navigation is key to retaining visitors. Keeping navigation simple, intuitive, and consistent on every page is key. So consistency on the ArtsBuild website is really great. when you scroll through any web page, this top menu follows you instead of, so that when you're searching through the pages, you still have that availability to click around and find things instead of the menu items disappearing and then they have to go look for it. So simple and is consistent on every page. And importantly, that your site should satisfy both searchers, people coming for something very specific, and browsers for people just looking. It's a really important point of context, right? Like when I visit ArtsBuild's website, I'm making sure that the piece about me and shared services is on there is correct, or if I missed something, I know exactly what I'm looking for, but not everyone knows exactly what they're looking for. They're trying to find information, so make sure it is suitable for both searchers and browsers. Keep them engaged by suggesting, related content. This is a website that I am currently working on, and I have in the right hand, I forget what it's called, oh God, the right hand side of the screen. Every time you go to a new blog or recipe or post, there's content that's related, and that minimizes dead ends, right? So like if someone is reading this strawberry rhubarb pie recipe and they're done, what do they do next? You want them to keep moving around your website. So force them to keep moving around your website by telling them, oh, there's this other great thing for you to read. The other thing is make sure that your contact and location information are readily accessible and easy to find. Your audience is not going to chase you down, so make it easy to engage. Offer multiple points of contact, phone, email, social media, and maybe an easy to use contact form. If location matters to you because people are coming to your events or something, a Google Map is a bonus. You can, embed it right in the bottom of the screen. Above all, just make sure that this information is readily available on an easy to find contact page, if not on the bottom bar of every page on your website. I'm just going to close my door really quick. Okay. This slide doesn't have much on it because it's pretty clear. Also on every webinar you may attend with me, we talk about content. Content is king. And more importantly, fresh quality content is super important. Be succinct, be interesting, be new. New content is important, just like on social media. You can think about ways to, reuse content between all of your different digital assets. Blogs and the social media updates are great ways to add fresh content. It keeps visitors returning. It helps with your SEO, which is search engine optimization. And yes, keeping things fresh requires a bit of investment, but you can't really live without it when you're, in this space and trying to get people to participate with your brand and your organization. Real quickly, my next webinar is actually all about types of content and how it's actually easy once you get in the habit. So the title of the April webinar is Content is All Around You. And I'm really excited about that one because I think that's the thing that seems so daunting. Like you can get a website built, you can open a Facebook page and an Instagram, but now what do? You have to create content. So I'm really excited about that one. Also, for a point of clarification, I hear it all the time and I know what it means, but if you hear SEO or search engine optimization, it's basically a fancy way of saying you're ranking on Google when someone searches like keywords looking for your business. So for example, if someone searches Google for Chattanooga Artist Support Organization, I realize that's a little far-fetched, but or something like that. Hopefully ArtsBuild's SEO on their website and all the keywords that they use would rank them pretty high towards the top of that search. And so it takes a little bit of time to understand SEO and how to do it well. But and if you're really interested in making sure that your business comes at the top of those Google searches for, because you're trying to fill events, or you're trying to sell your artwork, or you're trying to, make sure people show up or participate, it's probably a good thing to bring on a little bit of expert advice in this area, just because it can be quite a tedious task to master and learn about. But I just wanted to make that point of clarification about what that is. It seems like a really big, daunting word, but it's really not. So yeah, make sure everything is updated on your website. If you're no longer, offering a service, make sure the reference to it is removed from every place that it existed on your website. Sometimes it takes some time to scroll through and click every page, but make sure it's up to date. That also goes for if there's a link to another place on your website, make sure those links aren't broken. Make sure your phone number, your address, members of your staff, all the things that you have on your website are up to date. It's incredibly important for building trust. This is a pretty big one. Be technically stable and secure. So the site's got to work quickly, correctly, and as expected. And every page should be fast and functional, because any page, even if it's not just your home page, it's your About Us page, could be a potential customer, their first and only impression, because they may get on it, it may load too slow and they're tired of it and go. Really interestingly, some recent surveys, nearly half of web users expect a site to load in 2 seconds or less, and they tend to abandon a site that isn't loaded in 3 seconds. So think about that when you're designing your pages. That white space can help that, because you're not trying to fill everything and have everything load. Less is more in that regard. But yeah, really interesting that if it doesn't load in 3 seconds, our attention span is so horrible that we piece out of a website. Even if it's got really great and helpful information, we're not into it. So yeah, broken, slow, or poorly constructed areas on websites will leave your visitors frustrated and encourage them to leave. So test for problems and speed of your website, and make sure that if you have giant images, there's ways to compress them and not ruin the pixels of your photo, but they won't slow down your website. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to Google's page speed test, and I encourage you all to test it out and see what it has to say. It's a really easy, it's free tool to see, how fast your website loads. That's a really helpful one. The other thing about this is to make sure that your website is responsive and mobile friendly. Today, there's no excuses. Your site has to look great and work well on every platform: phone, tablet, giant computer screens, small laptop screens. It's gotta do it all. It's gotta cater to all the devices that people are viewing it on. And you can optimize your mobile. Optimizing your mobile actually improves the experience of your visitors, and Google ranks websites that are mobile and different platform friendly higher when people start searching for you. So it's a great idea to make sure that it is mobile friendly and other screen friendly. There's also a mobile friendly test that Google has put together. It's free. It's a good idea to, check it out. I'm going to put that in the chat. But it's also a good idea for you and your staff to test it out on all the different screens that you have. Open it up on your phone's web browser. Open it up on your iPad or your tablet. Have your staff, if they're working from home or they're in the office, try it on their different desktops, types of desktops, and make sure that it's super mobile friendly. Again, I put that in the chat. The last really important bit of information on this is to make sure that it is secure. This builds trust, the most amount of trust. No one wants to be navigating a website that's not secure, and search engines make it really obvious to the visitor when it's not. You'll see in the top left corner this little secure or not secure with the lock. And you have probably gone to a website that flashed before it let you into the website that this site is not secure. Do you want to proceed? You don't want that. It's an obvious telltale sign that like this isn't safe. This secure thing is called the SSL encryption. Google gives those sites that have the secure signal also another SEO boost, so ranks you again higher in keyword searches. But again, it's a trust factor for visitors. Like if you're going to a website and you're gonna pay to attend an event and it says not secure, are you actually going to put in your credit card information into that website? Probably not. I know I wouldn't. I want to know that, where I'm putting my information online is going to be safe and secure. So yeah, there's that. Some other really great additions for your website, make it easy for your visitors to share your content on social media if that's important to you, and to connect with you on social media. Social can drive large volumes of traffic and in and out of your website and can really positively affect your search ranking in Google. Don't forget, obvious sharing links, in the top right corner on some of the websites. I should, the share to Facebook. You'll see on ArtsBuild's bottom right on their webpage, a share to Facebook and Instagram and their YouTube link as well. We talked about this a little bit, but make sure that there's a newsletter sign up if that's something that your organization does. Otherwise, how are you going to collect emails to get your newsletter out and talk about what you got going on? So make sure that that's obvious in there. It's an easy, free way to, get people to interact with your brand and learn more about your brand, more about your organization. The other thing is Google Analytics. It's free, easy to install, and super beneficial. It gives you so much insight onto where your traffic is coming from, going, and where it's stopping. So coming from Facebook, Instagram, or just regular internet searches on Google. If it's going somewhere, where are they going next? They'll tell you, if they're headed back to your Facebook, or if they're going to a Google search to look for something else because your website didn't answer their questions, or if they're just like stopping on a particular web page and getting off of it. You want to know that, because if there's something on that web page that just isn't clicking with them, if you can update the content, etc., it's really great product to use. I'm going to put a guide to installing and using Google Analytics in the chat. I encourage you to check that out. We are like way ahead of time, but this is a pretty high level overview of the basic tenets that'll help you start moving to getting more value out of your website and creating the website that your organization really needs and what your customers are looking for and your visitors are looking for. We covered a lot of items, and I know we've got 12 people on. Does anyone have questions or want me to go over something again? Has anyone, while we're sitting here, checked out the links in the chat?
Colleen, I have a question, but it can wait till the very, very end until we've exhausted, because it's about your presentation last week. I just had a quick question.
Sure. Is anyone trying to build a new website? Is anyone trying to update their website? Does anybody hate websites and don't want to do it?
Google Sites is, we went over that in our Tech Goes Home class. So Google Sites, that's really helpful, especially if you're like super low budget
Mhm.
and need something to kind of have a jumping off point.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful, especially for a lot of our local artists who have, lost their public audience. That's one way to regain your audience is through
Yeah.
a website.
Definitely. I've used Google Sites before. I love it. I think, I personally love Squarespace because I just feel like it's so easy to build a website. They make it so easy once you set up all your branding and things like that. You can't screw it up. You pick the thing that works for you, and every time you add something new, if you've done your due diligence and in the back end of picking your fonts, your colors, and etc., um, it's just super easy to just keep to just go.
Yeah. Have you used WordSpace or WordSpace?
Word-
WordPress.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you?
of course.
Yeah.
When
I
I was
used that a million years ago when I did development for another nonprofit.
Yeah, when I was in the mayor's office, WordPress is the thing. So I've used them all. I've used that, the city of Chattanooga, their ancient website. No offense, people who are listening. Is Joomla, which is really, it's a lot of code on the back end. If you can afford to do a WordPress paid site, it's very minimal cost for the reward and what you get back from it. So I didn't talk about the different places you can build a website because that's really up to you all. As far as budget, my favorite is Squarespace. I would then go to WordPress. I know that Wix makes it really easy. I don't really love it. I don't think it's as intuitive as the other two. But I do like Google Sites. I have used that quite a bit when cost is a factor. But there are plans, very minimal cost plans on other pieces of software for building websites.
Do you have any experience? This is just a random question I have about the integration between Canva and websites.
No.
Okay. I might have just made that up. I make stuff up all the time. That's why I'm part of the creative community.
Yeah, I mean, I use Canva 100% all the time to make everything. This presentation you're seeing is built in Canva. I have a paid yearly subscription to the pro version because you can load, again, your fonts and your colors into it, and it makes it super easy to use. And you can download a graphic and pull it over to your website, and in the spaces where a graphic is a good place. To have one. So I love Canva. I've never built a website using it. I don't know if that's a feature, but now I'm gonna look into that.
Well, yeah, or just like if you can make something in Canva and then move it over to your website.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
So,
These presentations will be on my future business website that is not built yet, but will be. Yes. And, Canva is a really great product if you can't afford like all the Adobe things. Canva is like super easy to use and super intuitive. Yeah, there you can download, all the different types of ways to download PDF, JPEG, whatever it is. They're very responsive
yeah.
when you move it over to a website. So it's really cool product. And the free version is wonderful too. I'm just, I like having it, and I refuse to pay for Adobe products.
Yeah.
Their price is expensive.
Well, if there's no questions from the audience, I'll pause here for just a second to see if anybody wants to jump in with a question either in the chat, or you should have the capability to unmute yourself. sit here for a second and give people time to unmute. I know that's a little bit of a process. Okay. Well, my last question was about the workshop you did last month. That was our Facebook and Instagram workshop, and had some interesting questions. And I think you and I kind of talked offline about this a little bit. About we had a local business in Chattanooga that just did not respond well to Facebook reviews. So can you talk a little bit about that, like the importance of your response to Facebook reviews? I know some organizations don't even respond at all. Some people turn them off. So can you touch on that for just a second while we've got some time?
Of course. I will say when Amy told me about this particular incident, I went and deep dived into it because, like, first of all, my mind was blown. I did say and have said and will continue to say that when someone posts a comment on a particular post, positive or negative, unless positive or negative, but still like critiquing in a positive way, you should always respond, because it could be that they just have the wrong information or have the wrong idea. So you should always respond to comments on Facebook, Instagram, your Google business, reviews and comments. Should always respond to them. If the comment in the past, obviously, I have run some political figures social media accounts, and some comments are quite honestly abusive and using horrible language. You should 100% report them to Facebook. That's the mechanism for Facebook is to hold people accountable for using terrible language. This was a restaurant that had bad reviews, and they responded or deleted the reviews. It's up to you if you want to delete things, but you really shouldn't, especially if it's just a critique. I mean, that's what this is. It's FaceBack is a feedback loop. So is all the other, Yelp, Instagram, Google My Business. It's all a feedback loop that you have to participate in. You can't just decide not to participate. And so, yes, I think you should respond. You shouldn't delete. The caveat there is if something is abusive to the point that it's not effective as a review at all. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. It does. And I know I've got some experience on here with folks who are really good about their responses to Facebook reviews and any other reviews. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that a little bit.
I've been in customer service a lot. I consider communications a customer service, but even before then, as a young person back in the day, I've worked in retail, which is some difficult customer service. Some people have worked in restaurants, which is extremely difficult version of customer service. Managing the Chattanooga Department of Public Works' social media and communications, there's a lot of comments that happen, and there's a lot of messages, and a lot of, they're not doing enough, whatever it is. And I always responded to comments, again, unless they were super abusive and unnecessary, like, that line. We all know that line when someone crosses it, racist, misogynist, whatever. There's a line and it's been crossed. You can hide it, you can delete it, you can report it to Facebook. I 100% offer that as an opportunity and say you should do it. But when something's just a mild critique or like you can address it, I always on the Public Works Facebook page or on the Twitter responded to the comment publicly and then direct message them from the page to take it off of it, because really all people want is for you to communicate with them and help them with their issues. And Amy, I know you know this because of your past experience and position in city government. People really just want to be heard. And so take the opportunity to address it publicly, how it's appropriate to address it publicly, and then take it offline, you know? The thing that's coming to my head is like, you forgot to pick up my trash, or you spilled my trash can all over the street, or I'm just thinking of, you forgot to pick up my leaves, when's leaf pickup? I've had it all. Or, you know, there's, you ran over my mailbox, things like that. Like, yes, you should, you know, respond to them publicly. Like, I apologize and let's remedy this problem. I'm going to direct message you and figure this out. It shows them, not just them, that you're going to help and figure out their issue, but you're showing everybody else that's on that post that you care and you're willing to like go and really not go the extra mile, because it's just human interaction. So like doing the due diligence to make sure that people are being heard and their issues are being addressed. So
yeah, well, thank you for that. I didn't mean for us to take us down a rabbit hole, but I just felt like that needed to be addressed.
It is.
Well,
I mean, it's not great when businesses kind of abuse that, you know. As funny as it kind of was, it's also just not, because it ruins your reputation if you start acting like a jerk back, you know?
Yep. Well, if there's no more comments or questions, I feel like I kind of monopolized that time. But Colleen will be back with us the last Thursday of April. I can't believe we're almost to April, but I know March is everybody's least favorite month at this point. But everybody be safe today. There's lots of bad weather that's coming our way. Make sure you've got a plan and just be smart about traveling if you've got to be on the road today. But if you've got any questions or want to drop us any comments, you can catch ArtsBuild on social media. We're very active there. And then I'm going to put my email address in the chat.
Put my email address in the chat too. And if just a hot sec, I'm super, super excited. Talking to James and Amy and staff at ArtsBuild recently gave me this idea to do content is all around you, because we're all like, you know, what do I put on social media? And who cares what I put on? So we're going to talk all about that. And I'm super, super excited.
Well, thanks, Colleen, and thanks for this presentation. And folks, thanks for joining us today. Hope you got something out of it. If you missed anything or if you joined us late, you can catch us in a little bit on the whole presentation on our YouTube page. But everybody have a great weekend and a great day, and we will see you soon.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks.